Okay, well, another video on this gauge cluster, speedometer and odometer thing. So I from the last video I ended up putting it together a little bit differently than what I showed in that, so I'll clarify that and back over to my bench here. So when I actually took it out for a drive, maybe the rear differential gear ratio is different on my 54 than it was on the 89 Astro van. So what I mentioned before is I thought I would have to take the pivot point for the speedometer. Don't know if, yeah, I'm good. And place it above the odometer, and I didn't end up doing that. When I took it for a test drive, the better position was down here. Now I know you can buy different ring and pinion sensors for the vehicle speed sensor in the tail shaft of the 700 R4, but those things are kind of expensive, so I'm just gonna go with what I have. The way this turned out is it's about 10 miles per hour. The indicator is 10 miles per hour more than actual speed over the entire range. So I went out and I drove the truck with this all hooked up on the seat of the truck and with my GPS, and I zeroed it at 50. And down around 25, it's actual speed is a couple miles, maybe 3 miles per hour slower than indicated. And then when you get up to 80 or so, it might be a mile or two faster than what indicated is. So I think that'll be close enough for me. So I'm gonna also, I have some photos on the FTE forum, but I really didn't like how I cobbled the motor shaft. The speedo motor has to sit back behind the odometer ways, and I don't really like how I had to couple the motor to the needle for the speedometer. This is the needle off the 54. I scavenged a little brass fitting out of a needle from the 89 Astro van. It fits on the shaft for the motor, but that shaft is quite a bit smaller diameter than the original shaft off from this needle was. I would like to have taken a small piece of brass and just made a shaft, but I don't have that kind of machining skills, so didn't bother with that. The other thing I ended up doing on this thing is I wanted to use the 54 Ford odometer, but when I got to playing with it, when it rolls over to thousands, no, actually when it rolls over to hundreds, it's real sticky, and I realized that the end of the white wheel on this, the tenths wheel, is actually broken off where the little metal gear was on there. And I don't know if that has something to do with it really being pretty stiff, or it's just the fact that it's 60 years old and it doesn't roll over very good. So I decided, okay, I'll just use the odometer out of the Astro van. Well, turns out the wheels on the odometer for the Astro van are actually wider, so 6 numbers won't really fit in there, only 5 will fit in there. Figure, well, as accurate as this thing is, I don't care if I have the tenths, I don't need the 100,000ths, so I just mounted the wheel in there between these two aluminum side plates, which are just basically a piece of L metal pop riveted to the face of the 54 Ford speedometer, and then holes drilled to receive the shaft for the odometer, and then gear driven by this motor here. Took a little bit of futzing to get that thing to fit in there, but managed to get it in there. So anyway, the other thing I might do on this thing is I probably really ought to be a lot of pain to take it apart, but I kind of wish that the pigtail coming out of this motor were over on the other side, because when I mount it in there, this pigtail pushes up against one of the other gauge motors kind of tight. I hope that's not a problem. I could turn this motor, I don't know if I can move it. I could probably turn it end for end, and I'd have to drill another hole, so probably not going to mess with that. It all gets kind of tight in there trying to fit it together, at least for me. One other thing that was kind of funny is the 89 Astro van actually has, and I assume all other Chevys from that era, it has two boxes. This one takes the signal from the VSS in the transmission, converts it to several other signals, I guess. The yellow wire is for cruise control, which gives me an idea for a future project. This green with black and purple with white are the wires from the VSS. The pink with white is a 12 volt. This blue with black coming from this goes to this board here on the speedometer itself. And the rest of these, well, there is a black one here that's ground. The rest of these, there's a white one and another black one. Actually, it's dark brown. I guess that's just two. Those two go to the port to plug in the computer under the dash, and also were used for I think anti-lock brake system, so I'll not be using those on mine. So this little plug here, I had to fab it up because it actually plugged into and connected the printed circuit board on the back of the Astro van speedometer cluster panel. And I was messing around with this. I plugged that thing in backwards and let the smoke out of this board, so I had to go to U-Pull-It and get another one of these. It charged me $5. Put it on there, and now my speedo works again. So anyway, I'm going to mount this in the dash, in the instrument panel, and then do another short video on what that looks like.